Hello, welcome to the guest show. Slightly different this week. Unfortunately, due to technical circumstances, we're not doing a Zoom meeting. I'm recording on my phone. So today I've got with me David Fussel. I've known David, God, how many years? It's more years.
It's going back some years now.
It's going back some years, yeah, it is, yeah. I think it's Stone Age, because David
Could be.
did come out of a cave.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I was at this place called St Patrick's in Soho. I'm hoping to get a father from there to come on. And I mentioned I was into theatre, and David turned around and said, I'm going to make a film. And as I know how much a theatre production costs, because I ran a theatre company for a few years, I thought, another dreamer. And I bumped into him a year later. He'd done a 20-minute film. So first of all, David, why? Why did you make the film?
Well, I've been involved in quite a few projects. Vice did a documentary about launching my feature film, actually, The Homeless Film Director, which ended being a 30-minute documentary about me launching my film. And then I filmed something for Vice during lockdown. Actually, they phoned me up and asked me to film my experiences during lockdown, and that's a separate 6-minute, I think, video that is, but half of that I videoed myself for Vice. But my main feature film was just, I got flooded out of my house and had 10 years of my life taken away from me with talking to a corrupt council that caused me loads of trouble and heartache, and I decided to live my dream, and the little bit of money I had left after selling the house I wanted to put into a feature film in the hopes of selling worldwide for television release. And I didn't quite realise how long it would take me to produce the film. And then the real kicker to the story, which is completely flipped now because of what AI might do, is that a friend lied to me about technical standards. So I ended up with a film that looked nice but couldn't be broadcast through transmitters.
Why is that? Sorry.
Well, there's technical saturation levels of colour.
Okay.
And it would have if they'd have broadcast my film, it would have looked like a grey and white, not even black and white. It would have looked horrible.
The visuals.
The visuals of just for broadcasting. But thankfully, of course, the internet came along, and the whole launch of this feature film was me selling it on Vimeo on demand, which since the Vice documentary and prior to the pandemic, it was doing quite well. I sold over 200 copies worldwide. So that's...
Is it still there on Vimeo?
It's still on Vimeo, but I think I still got to pay Vimeo for the Vimeo Pro this year, so I don't know whether you can download it yet, but it should still be available. And I'm hoping to use AI to do a lot better job from the point of view of the look. And I mean, the sound was really good on it, so I should be all right there. But I think I can do a really good job of polishing the look using AI and that in the future.
But look, I'm a writer. I've been an actor, an improviser. I've been in 2 short films because I'm a short person, as you know. And I do remember a side story is the director in the first one. I the only one with lines. I had 15 pages to learn for a 5-minute movie, which is what it's going to be.
Yes.
And I remember she saying to me, whisper, whisper. And on the stage, when you say whisper, you project your voice. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had the lead good guy male character in my film. He was more a theatrical person, right? And he'd never really done any filming, and it took us an hour or so to teach him that less is more when you do film, and he did a great job in the end, but it took him some time to realise it's a completely different thing. It really is.
Yeah, I know that the second one was just something I knew was doing the film that I was.
Yeah.
And she found out I need somebody to make up a couple of lines, not in the script.
Yes.
As an improviser,
Yes.
that's natural for me. But once again, it's getting into that story.
Yeah.
So how easy did you find it to create a storyline of it?
Well, it took some time to find a storyline, and the story that came out, because I'm interested in spy and action and horror films, so I did jump in the deep end, because you do like to make the films that interest you. You know, if I'd have done a, I don't know, story about a corner shop like Kevin Smith did, where I only need a few people to stand in there and talk, if I was good enough to write the script, maybe that would have been fine, but I gave myself a big job. And then one day the story came about of us looking through the local newspaper, the Carmarthen Journal, and the story came about that they had a main page that said, "Is there big cats in the wilderness?" You see, and I turned to my friend and just an offhand remark: "What if big cats are a cover for what's really out there?" And then that sparked a long conversation of what could really be out there, what is the government trying to hide, maybe, or something. So I ended up with this like conspiratorial plot that involved a scientist infecting himself with DNA that turned him into this sort of demon creature, and that they break out and start acting on their own initiative. But because the government are very embarrassed about that, they're trying to cover everything up, aren't they? They're not trying to go, "We made a mistake, this got out of our control." They're trying to sort of brush it all under the carpet as government.
As a writer, I know all stories have an A plot and a B plot. So
Yes.
you're introduced to that concept.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
Which can be quite difficult, because I know that I wrote something once, and in the end the B plot became bigger than the A plot.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it had many different versions as we were writing the script. The big mistake all filmmakers make, especially with feature films, is if you've never done a feature film before, you will always start to do a feature film way too soon. When you should spend another year writing the script, you'll think you're ready. And that's just how it works, unfortunately. Because if you're making short films, because short films are an easier thing from the point of view of time, you can have more experience with a short film and gradually get better at telling your stories and not necessarily spend a lot of money. With a feature film, once you've jumped into starting production, it's like being on a roller coaster and you can't stop it. And you have to keep going, you know? And so it was a long haul. I was hoping to do it in a year, bearing in mind it was going to be complex because it involved martial arts and, a lot of outdoor shoots as well. Night shoots, obviously, which is our nightmares. And but it turned into a 3-year production. 9 months of that was rewriting the script, which I should have done at the start.
So I know. I am going to go to theatre. Sometimes I produce the script, and even though you have a vision, I think this is what you discovered.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, what you think's going to work often doesn't, and sometimes the mad thing you think won't work at all comes like, oh well, that worked really well. So yeah, it is very, very difficult. Now I would feel more confident about doing a feature film, and I'm working on different scripts that might be features at the moment.
That's an interesting, because I know that in my writing day, I still write occasionally. I don't.
Yeah.
Most ones is on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of ideas in my head.
Yes.
So I've been writing, I've got no idea. But like Falls and Hills, I call it the big score. It's based on something I knew, who always wants to earn money.
Yes.
So it's easy. But I want to make it a series, so it has to be different tricks.
Yeah.
But I know then all of a sudden, I know when I was writing. As a writer, I think I'm fairly good. I get people love what I write, and then I get lazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever get lazy?
Or I no, actually. I mean, I felt I was I was so excited about the project. Nothing really. I mean, a lot of people thought I was being lazy when I was spending months rewriting the script, but I was actually saving it, because if we'd have filmed it the way the script was, it wouldn't have worked. So I wouldn't have had a finished film of any kind. And so by rewriting it, I managed to get it to a level where it worked. And it worked in the edit, and then I could edit it, hone it down. The first edit was 145 minutes, and the final cut is it was 1 hour 45 minutes, and the final cut is 1 hour 17.
Yeah,
so I really shaved stuff away.
It's not like Marvel, they have 3-hour films. I was watching one of those yesterday.
Well, I mean, Martin Scorsese can do it. I watch his 4-hour films and I feel like it's only 2.5 hours. But I'm not at that level yet, if I ever will get to that level.
Then let me ask you this question that interests me. How can somebody make I watched the film, I watched the Avengers film, they're 3 hours.
Yeah.
The big ones there.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, but I got bored.
Yeah.
So how can Martin Scorsese grab you for 4 hours?
I don't know how he does it, but he seems to have that magic of not making you feel that it's that length of time. But I think it's just, you see, if you've got spot-on storytelling and characters that will draw you in, you get lost. You know, you don't realise it. But I mean, a lot of modern films I'm not pleased with, because to me, story is paramount. It has to be a really good story. And a lot of films, I think, lose the plot a lot of the time. You know.
Okay, I'll talk to you as a writer.
Yeah.
And I thought a lot about this. I seem to be able to write comedy. I don't do jokes. It's the situation.
Yes.
Now, would you say in your scripts it's the character or the situation?
Well, ideally, it's having a nice combination, really, I think, of the two. But I think, I mean, for comedy purposes, often the situation can be ideal if you have the right situation. I mean, if you go back to the early silent movies, a lot of it was just having the right situation, and you know, but that was more in the slapstick era. Now you can perhaps get away with things providing the script is good enough, even if your location is not perfect. If you've got good actors that are doing the script right, you can probably get by with things.
There was actually, you'd say that, if you know the film The Plank.
Yes.
Sights,
yes,
which is silent totally.
I know.
And the comedy is brilliant.
It is.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
No, that was astonishing. But there again, almost like a Martin Scorsese movie, everybody was top at their game, weren't they? You know, there was no real A and B cast in that. Everybody was in an A list, really. Yeah. And I think there again, you could say the same thing about Martin Scorsese movies.
I'll give you an example. We were touring London in pub theatres.
Yeah.
And there were two casts. One cast was doing Everyman.
Yeah.
And me and this other guy were doing a two-hander, about two Greek gods on that life.
Yeah.
And I do remember the cast of Everyman were the darling ones you hear about in the acting. Everybody's darling.
Yes.
So it's like mocking them. But we were serious about our work.
Yeah.
Acting, writing, serious to me.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
It's how to communicate it over. Like,
yeah.
I think my luck is that I'm an improviser. It helps with this. So
Yes.
I can make something up straight away.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to bring you close to the present day.
Okay.
Right, we know what's happening. I know what's happening. Let me tell you what you decided to do this year.
Well, as a result of the really and truly the loss of support that us homeless used to have, because of a combination of things, but mainly because of the results of lockdown, things were getting pretty dire, and it was very difficult to find the support needed just to even eat sometimes, and washing and that sort of thing, like showers and getting your clothes washed, was becoming more and more difficult. And I found that because most of my art groups that I used to be involved with weren't going anymore, I was doing less and less of my music and my filmmaking. And this was really doing my head in, because what kept me together and gave me a reason to exist was doing my music and my filmmaking. And a friend of mine that I used to meet quite often at St Patrick's food handout, this guy Ian, he mentioned to me about Falmouth University. And he said, "Oh, you'd love it down there," he says, and they do.
It wasn't me, by the way. Let's hear this.
Yes, it's another Ian, so I looked into it, and I found it was a very impressive university. I was a bit nervous about having a go because there's so little support out there now that I knew it was going to be hard for me getting the computer time and everything else to achieve it. And because since lockdowns, most central London libraries don't let you in with baggage, and I had quite a bit of baggage, so I wasn't going to be allowed access to libraries.
I think you should say that you were on the street at this.
Yes, I was on the street at this time. If lockdowns hadn't have happened, I would have worked myself off the streets, but lockdowns happened and that was not an option anymore. Anyway, so I decide I've got to do it because it's the only way that I can have a room which is under my control, and it won't be with drug users or criminals, and I can get control of my mail properly because my mail will be delivered to the university, and it won't be stolen or pinched by anybody, or if it is, it will be looked into. So basically I decided, right, I've got to do this. I gave myself 3 months because I knew it would probably take me 3 months to do the whole thing, because you don't just press a button.
Sorry, dude.
You've got a UCAS form to fill in before you apply for university. So you've got to have that UCAS all filled out with a personal statement and all the rest of it, right? And then you've got to be prepared for doing all the extra paperwork that the university might ask of you, which is quite a bit more. That came as a bit surprise. Now, a good friend of mine, lovely woman, she very kindly gave me an old iPhone with a cracked screen. Now, if she hadn't have given me this iPhone with the cracked screen, I wouldn't have made it, because I had to do a lot of my application work, even application for my student bank account, on the iPhone, because I couldn't access libraries, you see. And if I hadn't have had this, and the story goes, this is the story, that I apply to Falmouth University and I have an online interview, which went a bit awkwardly at the start because we had technical issues and I couldn't, what was it now? I don't think they could see me, they could only hear me. We still don't know why that was, but we hadn't found the answer to that. But anyway, she refused to reschedule the interview and she said, we must do it now. So, oh dear, so we've lost about 10 minutes of this interview trying to sort out the technical side, which I didn't feel very happy about because it doesn't make me look very good, does it? But anyway, it was a friend helping me with their laptop. But anyway, and the interview went quite well until she asked the final question, which was, what most attracts you about this prospectus that makes you want to come here? Well, to be quite truthful to you, I'd spent so much time making sure I could do the ASCUS form and making sure I could do all the other forms and applying for my student finance and applying for my student bank account that I hadn't read the prospectus. I'm into filmmaking. I'm sure a college that has the reputation that Falmouth has, that I won't hate it all. If I hate 10%, well, that's life, isn't it? You may never like the full. I didn't even look into it. So I was honest with her. I said, well, to be quite frank with you, I haven't had time to read in detail your prospectus because I've been so busy doing all this. Anyway, and then I ended up the interview by saying to her, because she was a really nice woman, and I said to her, but where do we go from here then? She said, oh, well, she said, and I said, I kept saying, where do we go from here? She said, well, okay, we'll see. Anyway, so that finished. A few days later, I get an email saying I've been rejected, right? Well, thankfully, I'm not one of these hot-headed people that reply to emails like that go, well, I never wanted to be here, that sort of thing. So I didn't even answer it because I was so busy trying to go to university, to get myself off the streets, to stop all the hard slog that it is now just to barely get by, and to put myself into housing that I'm in control with and everything else, that I went on to apply for other universities. At the end of that day, I thought I'd better check my emails. So I checked my emails, and to my surprise, there was an email from Falmouth University saying, we've reconsidered, and we feel that providing you write us a 700-word essay detailing your media advancement over the years you've done yourself, then we're on the basis of that essay, we will judge whether we'll accept you or not. Now, I only had a week to do this because it was like into the clearing period. So I had a very strict, only had a week. So the 700-word essay, which I did about 4 or 5 drafts, was all done on my iPhone.
Oh, God.
Which was an absolute nightmare.
I do know, because at one stage I was writing an article for the paper, and it had to have been those days it was 700 words, and I had no computer, and to do it on a phone is the biggest pain.
It's a real pain. As nice as iPhones are to type on, they're not ideal for anything over 20 or 30 words, really, or any phone device. But anyway, I did this. I actually, because it had to be slightly a retrospective essay about what you've learnt and what you feel you could have done better, that sort of thing, which is a big thing of university. I'd never heard this before. What's a retrospective essay? I've heard of a narrative essay. That's all I was asked to write when I was at school. But anyway, so I managed to write this, and I wanted to write it about my learning experiences with my 3 main music teachers. But after a phone call to the university, they said, we want it about your filmmaking. This made it slightly harder to write because I felt that my experiences with my music teachers would have given more of a better retrospective, really. But anyway, I understand the issue. I'm applying for a film course. They want to know about my films. So I do the 5th draft. I'm typing this all up. And I go to the Salvation Army near Oxford Circus there, which I've been using because they're quite a small place, and because they're small, not many people go there. It doesn't tend to get overrun, and they tend to be able to they gave me a lot of time and support. So basically, everybody looks through my essay, says, that looks great, Dave, we'll send it off. So we send it off, and we just about send it off. Literally, there again, it took me nearly the whole week, and it was like a deadline. I think it was 12 o'clock Friday, and we sent it off 11 o'clock. Yeah. Right? We just about did it. And a lot of this time I was giving up not going to get good meals, or giving up sometimes not even having showers, because I wanted to get to university. I could have as many showers as I wanted once I'm at university. You not only have a shower in the shared cottage that I'm in now, but you have shower blocks in the university, so there's no trouble having the shower. Anyway, so we send it off, and thankfully I get accepted. The head lecturer, Kingsley, is the guy that was responsible for giving me the second chance, which is...
a question to ask you, Dave.
Yes.
You kept on saying the reason to go to university, you had said, is to get off the street.
Yes.
Is that the only reason?
No, it's not the only reason, but it was my physical needs to be off the streets now, as somebody that's 61, is great. But it's not only to be off the streets, but to be in a safe environment around people I can trust, and I can choose and cook and eat the exact meal and diet that I want, both the amount and the quality. That is quite essential, because if I can't be healthy, and I was quite ill during lockdown because for 6 months I only got fed pot noodles and toast, which is 700 calories, bad calories a day. So that terrifies me still. And so that was one of the main driving forces. But obviously, I did look into the university enough to know that the people that teach you are still working in the business. So you not only get taught by lecturers, but you get taught by lecturers that know what, like Grant, who teaches us editing. He's still a top editor. He works on top films. So when he's telling you something, it's up to date, current and relevant. You know, I've known quite a few universities. A friend of mine went to a university I won't name, who did a 3-year course. He got obviously into a lot of debt with this university. When he started going for jobs, they said to him, well, you've been taught all wrong. I didn't want to go to one of those universities. So my main thing is the quality and the standard of the teaching. And Roger, who's my lecturer on this foundation year, he was the guy that ran the special visual effects company that did the Aha video Take On Me. So I'm being taught by people that have worked at a really high level, and his visual effects company also worked with Ridley Scott as well. So that is from the point of view of being taught to a proper professional standard.
Yeah, because what you're saying, so I remember that a friend of mine went to university. It was one where I had this guy, William Shakespeare, doing script writing with him. But I'm saying the old ways of acting.
Yes.
Which have changed over the years.
That's right.
Coming towards the end, what are the difficulties you're facing now? You told me, I'd like you to this.
Well, some of the things that I realised early on, that unfortunately the government have reduced the maintenance loan that you receive by nearly £2,000. So but what I didn't realise, because the calculator doesn't explain this to you when you use the Student Finance England calculator, I thought that meant that they wouldn't pay me my last payment. Say they pay you 3 payments of 2,000, they wouldn't pay the last one. But what it means, they only pay me 4,000, I think it's 200 and something, but it's spread out over the whole year. So it took a long time for them to clear my payment. And I only got 1,394, which wasn't very much. Most of that went on my accommodation costs, although it doesn't cover it. So that's been a bit of a shock. So I'm just about to get another 1,300 odd payout, but most of that will have to go on the accommodation, and I'm still playing catch up on that, you see.
So you're getting, you said earlier on, you got about £4,000 a year. Am I correct?
Yes.
But so far, is that what's been cut, or is it just this intermittent payments? I'll use that word that you're getting.
Well, Student Finance England's a bit of a law unto itself, and I was extremely late being paid. I was way past their own deadline they'd sent me for getting the money, which I think is disgusting. I think if they send you a deadline, we're going to pay you this money now, it should be paid when they say. It was nearly a month later, I think. And thankfully, the accommodation has been a lot... student accommodation people are a lot nicer than your average landlord, so they don't come down and kick you out because you owe a few grand. They realise you do have a certain cash flow that will be coming in that they'll be able to pick up from. But it's held me back, because it's also held me back with doing a few other things that I plan to earn money at. And I've also, the other struggle financially is when I was applying for Falmouth, I was asking about any extra help, because the colleges are supposed to give you extra help, you see. So
Is this financial or
yeah, it's financial extra help. And basically, they assured us that they had a hardship fund. And we even wrote to all the top lecturer team that I'm not under yet, because I'm on the foundation year. I'm not actually in the degree start year. And we wrote to all of them, Kingsley, as I say, and the others, and they all said, the hardship fund. What I wasn't told is it can take 3 months to get this hardship fund, which is quite a long time. And I was promised the hardship fund by them. Well, not promised, but it was virtually a promise. It was like, we'll try our best to get it to you before Christmas. Well, I haven't had it yet. I'm still waiting. So there again, that's another thing that's restricted me and held me back. So that, and to put it in perspective, a young lad that came from Wales that I saw there, I'm not sure if he's still there. A lot of people drop out of university for lots of different reasons. I didn't realise this. But anyway, because he came from Wales, he not only came with the full £6,000 behind him, but I think there's something like 1,200 extra grants that the Welsh government give their people, which we don't get. So anyway, that's fine. He's a nice lad. I hope he's all right. But I haven't seen him for a while, so maybe.
Well, let's talk about you, David.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to say to everybody that maybe David does need help. I'm going to ask him to send me the link to his Vimeo.
Okay, yeah.
Plus also his own email. I've actually got his email. Maybe you'd like to contact David. Maybe you'd like to think about the future of David. How long is this course now, David?
Well, I'm on my 3rd module. I think we do 4. And then it will be there'll be another 3 years.
So it's 4 years.
It's 4 years in all. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But there's still no chance, because I've known David, God, yeah, as you said before, longer than Stone Age. Yeah. I think he was in the next cave to me at one time, even though he's 9 years younger than me. He's passionate about his storytelling. I'm passionate about storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, the way I'm looking at it for my future is that if I become a good editor, which is one of my future plans of career paths, then editors actually are quite rare on the ground. There's not that many good editors. There's a big call for them, especially if you can edit on Avid. You can charge a bit extra. Well, there's different editing software. There's Avid, there's Final Cut Pro, and there's Adobe Premiere, those sort of things.
I know about Adobe, yeah.
Yes, but the point is, my plan is, if you become a good editor, even if let's say you just work doing editing for television, you earn about £40,000 a year. Well, if I live as long as my father did, which is into his 80s, then I can earn £40,000 a year when I leave university. I won't have any trouble paying back what the university has cost me, and then I will be well in pocket then just at that level. So that's the sort of plan level I have. But obviously, if I manage to do anything better than that, I mean, I'm hoping to get a few films filmed while I'm at university, including the short that was based on an experience I had sleeping down by the canal. That we nearly got £30,000 of private investment, but they ran away because they thought there was going to be another lockdown, which I don't blame them. I can understand why they panicked by that, but
I'm going to tie up now, David, unfortunately. But ladies and gentlemen, David is a talented person. I hate to call anybody else talented, because the only talented person you ever hear is me. I will put the link for Vimeo on the wording of this. Yeah, send me that. But also his email.
Well, I've also actually started a GoFundMe for my paying my rent as well, just in case. So I can send you that.
Send me that as well, David.
Yes.
I can't promise.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I'll admit, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast, I'll go into it now, as I say it. Thank God it doesn't cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
I just bought David a meal. He's had a piece of cardboard and something, because I'm a tight bastard. But I'm hoping, with me, I'll tell you now, I want to travel the country, talk to homeless people and people work in the profession. And as I have a mobility issue, which I've mentioned several times, that what David's doing is worth it, I think. So I will also I want the link from your GoFundMe as well,
Yes,
please.
no trouble. Yes, thank you very much.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you.